Hi friends, how are you doing? The new season for bank exams has begun. All of you are busy preparing. Those of you who missed out last year, those of you who started fresh, you're busy preparing for the exams. Now it's obvious that the first thing that comes to your mind would be prelims. When it comes to quantitative aptitude, one mistake that people make is avoiding arithmetic. The reason is simple. You can manage to clear prelims, I'm talking about quant, by doing series, simplification, approximation, quadratic, and some data interpretation, easy data interpretation. So many of you do not feel the need to do arithmetic. It's not a good strategy for two reasons. If you leave arithmetic, let's for a moment assume it's just 10 questions out of 35 in the exam. You can reach a 22, 23, 24, 25 even, fine, not beyond that. Those who know it can cross a 30 as well. This is reason number one. Two is, when it comes to the main exam, the objective is not to clear prelims. The objective is to get into the final merit. So when it comes to the main exam, it plays a major role in cracking DI as well. Arithmetic forms the foundation of all data interpretation. If you're good at it, you will be good at DI, obviously after some practice. If you leave it all together, mastering data interpretation, the tougher data interpretation, the kind that comes in mains, would become doubly difficult. So that's the reason it should not be avoided. I'll show you a few questions today from the real exam papers. Memory based, of course, they did not give you the paper, unfortunately, and you would see how easily, elegantly they can be done, but you have to know the basics by heart. They can be done very quickly. So it's not that you can do series questions fast. Oh, obviously series questions can be done really fast, but even these can be done very quickly, but you have to learn by heart. The questions that I'm going to do today are the toughest of the lot. We get memory based questions only, right? So the ones that were considered the toughest by the students, toughest means there's nothing tough as such in prelims, but the ones that were considered a little lengthy, they'll take a little time doing it. You'll realize that all this can be done really quickly if you know the basics. If you do not know the basics, I'll share a playlist here. Go through it, you would learn the basics. It will take some time, but you should know the smarter ways of doing it. So let's get started. I'll share 5 questions with you. You have to try to solve each one of them on your own first and then look at the solution. Let's get started. I'm showing the first one. So guys, that's the first question on screen now. Pause the video, try and do it. Whatever way you know of doing it, get to the answer. Get started, restart the video after you got your answer. Let us discuss this. What does it say? The cost price of a table is 32.5% more than the cost price of a chair. Cost price table increases by this much, then it's marked up by this much, and the mark price becomes this much. If the chair is marked up by 15%, what is the mark price of the chair? So it's simple basic chain. This is the marked price of the table finally. This table was marked up at 25%, and before that the cost price was increased by 30%. So you basically need to reach the cost price of the chair first and then the marked price of the chair. This is what they've asked. Let's start with 4134. Right, what is the last step here? We'll go in the reverse manner. 4134, last step was markup at 25%. When you think of 25%, what comes to your mind? 1 by 4. You have to make yourself comfortable with the reciprocals. 1 by 4. 25% is 1 by 4. Since it was an increase of 25%, what would you do? 1 plus 1 by 4, which gives you 5 by 4. So what means is that the mark price is 5 by 4 times of the cost price. Mark price is 5 by 4 times of the cost price. You have got the mark price. So how do you get the cost price? Into 4 by 5. It will be less than the mark price. You can think like that as well. Go to this step now. If the cost price of the table increases by 30%, so this is basically the new cost price. 30% is how much? This is 3 by 10. 1 plus 3 by 10 gives you 13 by 10. So basically new cost price is 13 by 10 times of the old cost price. So what is the old cost price here? Into 10 by 13. You can do it commonsensically as well. The old cost price would be less than the new cost price. So you have to multiply with a proper fraction. So into 10 by 13. What do you have now? You have got the old cost price. Come to this step now. The cost price of the table is 32.5% more than the cost price of the chair. We have to reach the cost price of the chair. What is this fraction now? I would look at this as this is 2.5% into 13. 2.5% into 10 is 25%. Another 7.5%. So this is 13 into 2.5%. What is 2.5%? How do you think? 25% is 1 by 4. So 2.5% is 1 by 40. So what is this? This is 13 by 40. Now this is 32.5% more. So what would you think? 13 by 40 plus 1, which is 53 by 40. So if you have to arrive at the cost price of the chair, it has to be less than the cost price of the table. So what would you do? Multiply this with 40 by 53. And what would this give you? This would give you the cost price of the chair. What have they asked? Chair is marked up at 15% above its cost price here, and then you get the mark price. 15%, 5% is 1 by 20, 15% is 3 by 20. I'll just write it here. 1 plus 3 by 20, 23 by 20. So mark price would be more than the cost price. So you just do this. This is the chain. You have to write this. If you're familiar with these fractions and all, it will not take time. Cancel this. How much is this? This is 3 and this becomes 1, 8. I think this will cancel. This is 6 times. How much is this? This is twice 2. I think this is 6, 12, 8, 96 into 23. This is an easy calculation. 23 into 100 minus 23 into 4. So 2300, you will think like this. 2300 minus 92, or this is 2208. Rather, rupees 2208, which becomes your answer here. I took some time explaining because I had to explain this whole thing. But this can be done really fast if you know the fractions, if you know the way of doing it. I'll not take an x and y and then do it. No, I'll work in the reverse manner. I'll just quickly summarize what I did here. This can be done really quickly. Now this is a kind of question which in prelims might look like, oh, it's very tough, it's very lengthy, take steps and all. No, it will not take any time if you are familiar with all this thing, and you can do it quickly. It will not take any time. Even the calculation is nothing here, right? I'll just quickly summarize what I did. Start with this one, 4134. Look at this thing, 25% above 5 by 4 comes to my mind. What would I do? Into 4 by 5. We'll go to this step. This is 30% above, fine, increase 30%. So what will I think? 3 by 10, 13 by 10 into 10 by 13. My second step. Come to this step. This is 2.5% into 13. So this is 13 by 40. 13 by 40 gives me 53 by 40. What would I write? 40 by 53. And then the last step, 15% above 15% is 3 by 20. What would I write? 23 by 20. I showed you the calculation. Take you much time. I'll give you 2208. If you are good, it should be done under a minute. But you have to learn this. Let me move to the next question now. This is the next question. Again, pause the video. Get to the answer. Let's discuss this. What does this one say? A merchant marks a pair of jeans at 25% above its cost price and then gives 2 successive discounts of 10% and 5% while selling it. The moment you look at this, 25% above its cost price, what comes to mind? Again, 1 by 4, the same value as the last question. 1 plus 1 by 4, 5 by 4. I'll just write this 5 by 4. What is the format we are using? S by C, or selling price by cost price. Standard way of doing such questions. 2 successive discounts of 10% and 5%. 10% is 1 by 10. Since it's a discount, what will do? 1 minus 1 by 10. How much is that? 9 by 10. Multiply it here. Second discount of 5%. 5% is 1 by 20. 1 minus 1 by 20. 19 by 20. Do this. How much is this? This would be equal to, this is 4. This is 160 in the denominator. This is the cost, and 19 to 9. This is 171. What is the meaning here? This notation, this means that if 160 units is the cost price, or the cost, the revenue generated or the selling price would be 171. So this is 11 units more, or this 11 units is the profit. If he makes a profit of rupees this much in the transaction, so this 11 is nothing but same as this rupees 89.10 in terms of our notation. So this 11 units is nothing but 89.10. The question is, then at what price should he sell it to make a profit of 40%? Just continue from here. What is the cost for us? 160 units. So 160 units, a profit of 40% would mean 160 into 1.4, which would be 160 plus 64, which is 224, right? So we need to calculate the value of this 224. We know the value of this 11 units. 11 units is 89.10 rupees. So what is 224? 160 is the cost, increase it by 40%, you get 224. 11 units is this much. What is 224 units? Simple basic unitary method. What is the answer? 224 divided by 11 into rupees 89.10. Let's remove this. This is how much? This is, I think, 11 into 8, 88. This is 8.1 into 224. How do you do this calculation? 225 into 8, 200 into 8, 60 into 1800 minus 8, 1792 plus 22.4. 1792 plus 22.4. This is rupees 1814.40. Start breaking the numbers up while doing these calculations. It'll become a lot easier. So this question is easier than the last one, can be done quickly. What do you need to know? This notation through which we get this quickly. And then basic unitary method can be done really quickly. Let me move to the next one now. This is the next question. Pause the video again, get to the answer. I'm sure you got this. What does the question say? A man borrows rupees 12,000 at 20% per annum compound interest with annual compounding. Simple data. After 1 year, he borrows an additional rupees X at the same rate of interest. Closes the loan after 1 more year by paying rupees this much. What is the value of X? Now just treat them as two separate loans. What would this amount to? Rupees 12,000. So 12,000, and this is 20% per annum, which is 1 by 5. 1 plus 1 by 5 is 6 by 5. This is for 2 years. So this would be 6 by 5 into 6 by 5. How much is this? This would be 5 into 5, 25. Let's remove 2 zeros from here and say this is 4. 120 into 4 is 480. So this is basically 480 into 36. Again, we can do this. Just think of this as 36 into 50, 36 into 100, 3600, 36 into 50, 1800, 1800 minus 72. So that's 1728. So it becomes 17280. Start thinking like that. So this is the value. Now this is the amount from this principal, but what does this guy return? This much. It means what? This difference 2400 minus 17280 is because of this borrowing, this rupees X. Let's find the difference first. 2400 minus 17280. How much is this? This is 3120. So this 3120 additional that he returned must have been because of this borrowing of rupees X. How much is this? What is the rate of interest? Again the same thing. Can we say that it must have worked like this? X into 6 by 5 is 3120. No, because of X he returned this much extra. What is the value of X? So this is X is equal to 3120 into 5 by 6. This is 520, right? 2600. Yeah. 2600 becomes your answer here. It's very simple. We just separated the two. A loan of 12,000, a loan of X. A loan of 12,000 would ask you to return this much. How much? 17,280. But you return how much? 2,400. So this additional 3120 was because of what? Because X. X at 20% or X increased by 20% would result in 3120. We did not need this step. No, this was not really required. We should have just thought of 3120 into 5 by 6 like that. Just try and save time by minimizing the paperwork. Could have been done really quickly. Was an easy question. Let's move forward. I'll show you the next one. This is the next question for you. Try doing it. This was again a simple one. Now what's happening here? A and B invested rupees X and rupees Y respectively at 20% per annum simple interest for 2 years. The moment I look at this 20% per annum simple interest for 2 years, what do I think of? 20% into 2, which is 40%. 40% is nothing but 2 by 5. Right? This is what comes to mind straight away. I'll not do anything, but I cannot stop myself from thinking this. The interest earned by A was rupees 480 more than the interest earned by B. If X is 25% more than Y, what was the total amount invested by A and B together? It's obvious that X was more than Y because A earned some more interest. X is 25% more than Y. If I think 25% is 1 by 4. So if Y is 4 units, what would be X? X would be 4 plus 1, that's 5. So I'll just write it like this, 4 plus 1. Just to visualize, you do not need to really write this. If Y is 4 units, X would be 4 plus 1, that is 5 units. Now the difference of interest, this 480 must have happened because this additional 1 unit. No, X was slightly more than Y, 1 unit more than Y. That's the reason this difference in interest. Now this 480, just treat this as separate interest. This 480 must have been 2 by 5 times of the additional principal. 2 by 5 times or 40% of the additional principal. So what was the additional principal? It would be 480 into 5 by 2. It's simple. 240 into 5, this is nothing but 1200. Now this 1200 is the difference in the principal in the two cases for A and B, or I can say that X is more than Y by 1200 rupees. Now you know everything. It says total amount invested by A and B together. X minus Y is 1200, or this 1 unit is nothing but rupees 1200. You can just think of it like that. Why? Because this difference of 480 has happened because of this additional 1 unit. What is that amount? What is this difference of 1 unit in terms of rupees? That is rupees 1200. Or you can think of it in the reverse manner. 1200, 40% of 1200 would be 480, and this 480 is the extra interest earned by A. 1 unit 1200. What are they asked? A and B together. So 9 units would be 1200 into 9. Why 9 units? This 4 and this 4 plus 1. So this is in all 9 units. 1 unit is 1200. How much is 9 units? So that will be rupees 1200 into 9, which is nothing but rupees 10,800. It's a very simple question. You have to do nothing at it. I'm just erasing it, showing it to you. 20%, 2 years, 40%, 40%. Just think of 2 by 5 straight away. This is the difference. This into 5 by 2 gives you 1200. You think of this X as 5 units. Think of this Y as 4 units. What is the difference? 1 unit. 1 unit is 1200. So what is 9 units? 1200 into 9, which is nothing but rupees 10,800. As simple as that. You'll get this answer in 15-20 seconds only if the concept is clear. Let me move to the next question now. Last one for this session. This is the next question. Give me the answer quickly. Now what does this one say? Let's read it. A man invests rupees X and rupees 2X. 2X would be double of X for 2 years at 15% per annum simple interest and 8% per annum compound interest with annual compounding respectively. It means what? That this X was invested at 15% per annum simple interest and this 2X was invested at 8% per annum compound interest. If the difference between the interest earned in the two cases is this much, what is the value of X? If you look at this first one, 15% per annum simple interest, 15% for 2 years would be 30%. So what would happen? How would this behave? If we lend 10 units, 30%, it becomes 13. So it will be like this. 10, you add 30% to it, it becomes 13. Come to compound interest, it's a little more complicated. 8%, how would it behave? 108 by 100. Right? This would be the multiplying factor, or you can just think of this as 27 by 25. Right? 4% is 1 by 25, 8% is 2 by 25. 1 plus 2 by 25, 27 by 25. You could have thought like that as well directly. So 27 by 25 into 27 by 25 would be the impact if it's 2 years. This is annual compounding. So 27 into 27 would be 729. So this is the second case. Need to mug up these squares. 25 into 25 is 625. So it would behave like this. What does it mean? In the second case, at 8% per annum compound interest with annual compounding, if you invest 625, it would become 729. Now what would we do? We would get them in sync. In the first case, if the investment is X, second case, the investment is 2X. This is not in sync. This is 10, this is 625, a large difference. Get to some comfortable values. 625, 6.25, it sounds so very familiar. If you multiply this system with 4, this whole thing, this total thing with 4, what would it become? This would become 2500 and this would be 2916. Now why did I multiply like this? Because if you look at this 2500, 625 into 4, 729 into 4, it's simple. Do not think that we have done anything wrong here. If I multiply this with 4, I multiplied this as well with 4. So if 625 results in 729, 2500 would result in 2916. But what it does for me is, what is half of 2500? 1250, which is easy. So I can put this 1250 here. So 1250 is nothing but 10 into 125. Just look at this. 10 into 125 is 1250. So 13 into 125 would give me this number. How much is that? That will be 1250 plus 375. This is going to give me 1625. The objective of making this 2500 is that I do not want to deal with fractions or with decimals. We are most comfortable when dealing with integers, simple basic integers, and these are very basic integers. You could have taken any set of values. We just had to ensure that this value here, this value is half of this value. Look at the pointer, this value is half of this value. But these are very comfortable numbers for us. Why does it need to be half? Because it was given that this is x, look at this part here, and this is 2x. x, 2x, they're not significant. The only thing that matters is this value in case of simple interest needs to be half of the value in case of compound interest. So if I take this as 2500, this becomes 1250. If I take this as say 625, it would be half of 625. Now half of 625, you can say it will be in decimals. Why do I deal with decimals? That's why we took the first feasible set of values that looks comfortable working with them, right? Just come back to it now. This is how much? This is plus 375. So this is the interest earned here in this case. 2500, how much is this? This is plus 416. What is the difference here between these two? This is in terms of units, this is 41 units. Now these 41 units are given to you as rupees 820. It is like that. This is rupees 820. It is like that. 41 units, rupees 820. What do you need to calculate? What is the value of x? What is the value of x that we have taken here? Our x is this 1250. Why? Because we started with this x as 1250 here in case of simple interest. So what does it say? If 41 units is rupees 820, what is 1250 units? This is it. Simple basic unitary method again. What would you do? This is 1250 upon 41 into rupees 820. This is simple. This is basically 20. Fine. So this is 25,000, which is our answer in this case. It was very simple. We just had to get these values in sync. This was the important step here. This and this. Why did we do it like this? Because we wanted the value or the principal in case of compound interest to be double of the principal in case of simple interest. 2500 is good for us to calculate. I mean, if you want to understand it fully, just take some other set of value. For example, you work with 625 and then you realize the utility of this 2500. Here, we just dealt with basic numbers. This subtraction, this is simple. This subtraction, this is simple. 416, 375, this is simple. All the values, all the calculations, very simple. That's the reason that you have to zero in those values or use those values. That makes the job easier. The numbers that simplify it, use those numbers and it becomes really very comfortable for you. I'm sure you didn't find them very difficult. They were quite manageable, but to do them quickly, effortlessly, you need to know certain basics by heart. You just cannot rely on the formula based approach anymore. That used to work in school. Here you'll get the answer by it, but you cannot get it quickly. If you have to do 10 arithmetic questions in say 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 5 minutes, you need to know these smarter ways of tackling these questions. Watch my playlist if you haven't watched it, practice it accordingly, and then you'll keep getting better. I'll see you again with another such session. I'll again do some 5 good questions. Fine. So just keep practicing till that time. Make yourself better. One thing before I leave, we have launched batch 2 of our preparatory program for SBI PO and IBPS PO. If you're interested, I have shared the details here in this video. Fine. Go through the program page before enrolling yourself. So guys, I'll take your leave now. Keep working really hard. Make amends. Fix those mistakes that you made last year probably. Those of you who are new, obviously you would be excited about it. So just put your best foot forward. Just do everything that you can do. Have no regrets. Work really hard and start enjoying the prep. All the best.